What's good? It's Jordan. Today I'll be talking to you about greed causes destruction. Many times we like to take matters into our own hands, and we like to do things on our own accord. We like to walk this earth that God provided us, trying to do things on our own, trying to make a way on our own, trying our best to make it known that we have the ability to control the dynamic of our life. But time and time again, God controls the dynamic of our life. When we decide to be greedy, when we decide that we have it figured out and we want to conquer the world and we want to be at the top of the world and we want to do things that place us in the best position possible but hurt others, then God will deal with us for that. We have to understand that this land, this world that God provided for us is God's. Everything that we have on this earth belongs to God. But as you can see, many times with corruption in the world, with greed in the world, people have their own desires in this world for them to conquer and for them to make themselves their own gods. We have to understand that this world has been tampered with too many times to the point where people have often made the decisions of just living in the world, just doing their own things, just wanting to be gods themselves. And to be honest, those things do not help. If we look at this world and we look at it from a perspective where God provides us this world, and he provides us this world for us to share wisdom, knowledge, understanding, to love, to show caringness, to stand firm in the faith. And we decide that we want to do things on our own because we see how the world operates and how the world works. To be honest, consequences will come. Many times there are people in this world who make these decisions and choose this life and choose the life of just being greedy and wanting to do things on their own accord. They've had the world, so to speak, quote unquote. They had the fame, the fortune, the notoriety, the status, the monetary gains, the lifestyle. But they end up losing that. Why? Because God does not want them to have that. God does not want them to create themselves as their own idols. God wants us to follow him and to put our faith in him and trust in him. God does not want us to try to place ourselves in the standings with God. Why would God want that? But you see, when ego is involved, when envy and jealousy is involved, many times we compete to be at the top. We compete to try to make ourselves feel like we're God. Many times there are people in this world who may not believe in God, and they think that they control the dynamics of their own life. They think they have the ability to control the dynamic of their own life. And just because God provides them mercy and grace and honor, and God shows them love, even when they act not in accordance to his will and his way, they feel like they have everything down pat. We have to understand that we do not control the ability to do everything in this life. The only reason why we haven't been spited for all that we have done is because God provides us grace. If God didn't provide us grace, each and every one of us would have fell victim to the wrath of God. But because God provides us grace and knows that we live in a fallen world, he provides us mercy to the point where we take his mercy for granted. And what I think we should do is understand that God provides us grace and mercy and provides us the ability to actually be here today, to change our ways, to fix our path that we're on, and actually learn and understand the path that he wants us to be on. You see, when we try to take matters into our own hands, it never ends up good. Many times we have faced consequences for the decisions that we decided to make in this life. Sometimes we think those consequences just come out of nowhere and, things just happen. But no, those consequences were there to show us that we're doing the wrong thing. Sometimes you'll have consequences where it helps you to learn the lesson from what you've done. And other times you have consequences that teach you not to do this, not to do that. When you're doing the right thing, God will show you the way. But when you're doing the wrong thing, God will provide you a consequence where you can learn from that consequence. And if you continue to follow in that path, then ultimately you will be destroyed. At the end of the day, it's for us to understand that we're in a fallen world and our reality is warped due to the fact of the matter of many times in this world having corruption, having people falling towards their own desires, towards their own faith, feeling that they control everything. And when you're greedy, so to speak, in every dynamic of the world, every dynamic of your life, and even with dealing with God, you never get anywhere. There are people who are greedy and they're miserable. They're never happy. You see these people everywhere. You may see them in your workplace. You may see them in your personal life. You may see them in your family, in your friend groups, associates as well. But it's for us to understand that greed only destroys. When you're greedy, nothing will come good out of your life. God blesses those who are not greedy. God blesses those who have love inside of their hearts. God blesses those who are strong in the faith. And many times, there are going to be people in this life that try to destroy your faith in the true and living God. There are going to be people who want you to lose, who want you to be weak, who want you to not follow the true and living God. But it's for us to understand that God has a greater purpose, and it's for us to understand that in this life, God controls the dynamic of everything. See, when we try to move with greed, we're not going to build genuine connections. People are not going to be around us. We're going to live a miserable life, and we have ourselves to blame for that. Many times, people have learned to be greedy from their parents, their friends, their family members, associates around them. And these people may tell them that you have to be greedy in this world in order to get your way. You have to do what you have to do in order to get the trinkets and treasures of this life. But to be honest, don't listen to them. They fell victim to the devil's plot and the devil's plan. When you fall victim to the devil's plot and the devil's plan, you do not get anywhere. The devil wants you to feel like that. The devil wants you to feel like you have to be like that. The devil wants you to live in a mindset of this is a dog-eat-dog world. And with that being said, it's for us to get outside of that mindset. See, many times you'll hear the word, especially if you're in business. Business is business. Many people use that phrase, business is business. Why? Because any decision that they decide to make, they try to put it outside of their thought process, outside of their hands, and they try to validate themselves with the decisions that they decide to make. When they stand behind business is business, whether they help you out or whether they don't help you out, they put it in their mind that it's out of their hands. And when you put it in your mind that you have to live by that ideology, in reality, you only hurt yourself, because consequences will come, especially if you're not doing proper business. God does not like proper business. But when you fell victim to the world and what the world has to offer, the world tells you, society tells you all these things are good. Being greedy is good. And in reality, it does not help anyone. You may think you're getting far being greedy, but you're not getting anywhere. No one gets anywhere being greedy. For example, me just sharing this information with you. Many times there's people who would rather charge you a fee to get this information. There are people who charge other people numerous loads amounts of money just to provide them information, just for them to gain the information. Why not provide information on account of just helping someone, not for monetary gains. But this is the greed that I'm talking about. There are people who are fighting over land. There are people who are fighting wars in other countries over land because they feel that they deserve this land and that land, and they feel like they deserve whatever they feel like they deserve. But in reality, God controls the dynamic of everything, and God controls all. Everything in this world belongs to God. So no matter the amount of times we as people try to make things ours, and we try to own things and feel like we have ownership of things in this life, in reality, we all die. In reality, we all have to understand that nothing is ours and everything is God's. Even though we still can pass things like businesses, properties, monetary gains off to different generations, those generations die as well. Nothing is really ours in this life. And when we understand that, we're able to move with grace, faith, love, and understanding. So today, I want to leave you with this message, and I hope that this message helps you in your daily personal life. 1 Timothy 6:9. But those who desire to be rich fall into temptation, into a snare, into many senseless and harmful desires that plunge people into ruin and destruction. Proverbs 15:27. Whoever is greedy for unjust gain troubles his own household, but he who hates bribes will live. I hope that today we can walk in a path of righteousness, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that we can still walk this earth following the Most High, doing things the right way, understanding the faith and love and mercy that God provides us on this journey today. I want to thank you for watching. Peace.